Chaos erupts as Jim Jordan turns a hearing upside down, proving that in politics, truth is a lion. Once unleashed, it defends itself. Jordan fires back at Jasmine Crockett with precision, flipping her arguments inside out and exposing contradictions that had everyone in the room on edge. As tensions rise, the exchange becomes a showdown that only one voice walks away from unscathed.
Remember, Bragg and Colangelo bootstrapped charges that are normally misdemeanors to some underlying crime to make the charges a felony. But what was the underlying crime? Prosecutors didn't reveal that until after the trial began. Mr. Colangelo, in his opening statement, accused President Trump of violating the Federal Elections Campaign Act. But the problem is, in the plain reading of that act, doesn't support the indictment or the verdict. As Commissioner Smith stated, allowing this prosecution to go forward and the ultimate jury decision threaten the enforcement procedures established by Congress under the act and stretch the meaning of the statute in such a way as to threaten due process of law. It is clear Manhattan District Judge Juan Merchan's decisions, guided by political bias, unfairly prejudiced the outcome of the trial and violated President Trump's due process rights. Bragg's prosecution of President Trump, with the help of Judge Merchan, opened the door for politically motivated prosecutions, and it will not be easy to undo the damage that's already been done. As we have seen, other ambitious prosecutors have followed Bragg's lead and pursued politically motivated indictments against the former president. Rather than debate political opponents on substance, the Democrats' strategy to win the 2024 election is through the use of partisan, lawfare tactics. These politically motivated local prosecutions raise substantial federal interest and potential collusion between federal and state authorities. And that is precisely why we are here today. Alvin Bragg's prosecution of President Trump was personal, it was based on politics, and it was wrong.
A hearing about the supposed weaponization of the federal government turned into an absolute masterclass by Texas Representative Jasmine Crockett.
I can't even imagine someone bringing a fraud case to the United States Attorney's Office where nobody lost money, there were no victims, and no one was worse off at the end of it. It just makes it laughable, even before you get to steps 2 through probably 20 that make this case really absurd to have been brought to begin with.
It wasn't a contribution. If it was a contribution, it wouldn't have been reported until after the election, and no one suffered any losses, and yet they bring this charge against President Trump. I find that just amazing. If that's not political motivation, I don't know, because what other motivation could there be?
Yeah, it's really almost inarguable at this point that the motivation for this case was political. It's really, I've never heard a serious argument that it should have been prosecuted otherwise. I know Mr. Wu might have one, but I just haven't heard that, because it seems political from the inception all the way to the end.
I just want to level set, because I feel as if some people don't understand how government works, and I don't know how they got to Congress. So, Mr. Wu, I'm gonna need you to help me out, because I don't know that I trust that other people will know the answers to these questions. Number one, how many branches of government do we have?
3.
3, okay, sounds good. So, can you name them for me?
Legislative, judiciary, and executive.
Very good. Okay, so currently, I think that I serve in the legislative branch. Would you agree?
I agree.
Okay, fine. Can you tell me, when somebody goes to court, such as a criminal convicted of 34 felony counts, state court in New York, would that be the legislative people or judicial people?
Well, it's really the executive that's prosecuting, and then it's within the judiciary to run the trial properly.
Okay, very good. So, judiciary.
Are very well
So,
aware of. So let me remind you of what happened behind closed doors.
Well, you should ask Ro Khanna about my
I
credibility.
haven't asked you a question. Okay?
You are?
When I haven't. So when I ask you a question, that's when you answer. Otherwise, I'm talking. So,
excuse me?
With my time, because it's my time, I want to be clear that when we were behind closed doors, you called a number of people liars. You called the Wall Street Journal liars. You called Cassidy Hutchinson a liar. You called the FBI a liar. You called Rob Walker a liar. You called James Gilliar a liar. You called Hunter Biden a liar. You called Jim Biden a liar. And just today, you added to your list, you called my colleague, Congressman Mr. Goldman, a liar as well. It seems like, according to you, the only person that's telling the truth is you, and everyone else is lying. But I want to move on to something else.
Is that a question?
It's not a question.
Oh, okay.
You'll know when I ask you a question, I promise.
Thank you.
So, The other thing that I want to talk about is the fact that my colleague from the other side of the aisle talked about the company that we keep. And she wanted to go through a list of people that she felt like were bad company, because right now the majority has been relying upon the testimony of someone who's currently sitting in federal prison. And we know that your company is the company of somebody who's been found liable of fraud, as well as defamation, as well as sexual assault, and for whatever reason can't pay his bills at this point in time. But I'm going to ask Mr. Parnas, so this is a question to him. Are you aware if Trump had any associates that have been found guilty of anything?
Yes, lots of them.
Lots of them.
Me included.
You included. Okay, so when you were called here to testify, you weren't called here to testify for any other reason than to tell the truth. Is that correct?
Yes, Congresswoman.
Now, we started this whole sham off because of the 1023, and that was debunked by you, was it not?
Yes, Congresswoman.
Way before we started this impeachment inquiry. And you mentioned a number of times this guy by the name of Rudy Giuliani.
Yes.
Now, you know, everybody is so stressed about the fact that Hunter ain't here today. But, you know, Hunter came and testified behind closed doors.
Typically, if someone has an issue with, say, what happens in court, do they then somehow hop from state court all the way to the federal legislative branch, or is there a different process in which you are supposed to be able to explain any issues you may have?
The process would be the judicial appellate process, holding aside the issue of state versus federal.
Oh, interesting. Okay. All right. So normally people don't get convicted on a state level and somehow end up litigating the issue on the federal level in the legislative branch. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So something is different about what's going on today. I just wanted to clarify because I thought I was living in the upside down for a second. Now, I want to move on and talk about how someone is prosecuted. Currently, because under Project 2025, we'll get there, there will be a different way to prosecute people. But currently, it is my understanding, and I only kind of went to law school, passed a couple of bar exams, and practiced on the state and federal levels, but just clarify for me, when someone goes in to be prosecuted, is it, say, the President of the United States that somehow becomes the state prosecutor in New York?
No, absolutely not.
Absolutely not, because he's the executor, huh? That's that other branch.
Correct.
That's the, okay. All right, so.
Walking into that room felt like entering a battlefield where every word could shift the entire narrative, and Jim Jordan wasted no time seizing control. Pressure built the moment Crockett launched into a routine, tried to reframe the hearing with flashy rhetoric. But Jordan stepped in and made it clear the facts weren't bending today. There's an old political proverb. A shaky argument trembles at the sound of truth, and I watched that proverb play out in real time. Jordan leaned in, cut through the noise, and demanded direct answers. No detours, no clever sidesteps. Crockett tried pivoting, tried dancing around her contradictions. But as Jordan pressed harder, her talking points fell apart piece by piece. He laid out the timeline, the inconsistencies, the procedural facts she conveniently ignored. And suddenly the room shifted. Confidence slipped from her tone, replaced by irritation, because every dodge only strengthened Jordan's position. Each time she tried to hit back, he countered with records, statutes, and testimony she couldn't explain away. The more she tried to regain momentum, the more he exposed how weak her foundation really was. Jordan kept the pressure tight, watching as her arguments tangled until even her supporters couldn't follow the logic. Another political proverb came to mind. Those who build on sand should fear the tide, and Jordan brought a tidal wave. As the tension escalated, the contrast was undeniable. Crockett raised her voice. Jordan raised the facts. She tried injecting drama. He responded with documentation. By the time he finished, she wasn't offering rebuttals, only frustration. The gallery responded the way anyone watching an uneven fight would. The energy favored Jordan, and everyone knew it. Jordan closed the exchange by restating the inconsistencies she couldn't answer, leaving her visibly rattled. No theatrics, no shouting, just a controlled takedown that left one message clear. Sunlight is the greatest disinfectant, and today Jordan opened every window in that room.